Hi, welcome to Heal Body, Mind and Spirit. My name is Dermot Farrell, and today we're going to take a second look at journal writing. I put a video out a few weeks ago about why you should do journal writing, and I was just taking a quick look at it the other day, and it occurred to me that although I tell you kind of the why, I don't really give you an overview of how to go about doing it. So today's video is just a short video to show you, give you some insights as to how to go about having a journal or a diary. Now, just as a quick recap of the last video, in the last video I noted that what I feel is the main reason for keeping a journal is to raise your consciousness level, because the world we're in, everything is very busy. We've got appointments to keep, bills to pay, commitments. There's so many things happening at any one time that we have to maintain. And the problem with that is it becomes a kind of fast-paced life where it's like Monday morning, Monday evening, Tuesday morning, Tuesday evening, boom, Sunday. And it's like you can't even remember what you did yesterday or last week. And this is not good for you as a person. It's hard to stay on track when you don't know what the hell you're doing. And also, it's hard to learn from that kind of life or make any changes because you can't really reflect. So keeping a journal or keeping a diary is a great way of creating self-reflection. I also noted a great exercise for boosting your mind and your memory power, which is basically whereby you go back over the events of the day in a backward fashion. So what do we mean by doing that? That exercise is simply that you might start, say you're going to bed at 11:30. You think, what was I doing at 11? I was having a cup of tea. At 10 o'clock I was watching a TV program. At 9 o'clock I was having my dinner. At 8 o'clock I was in the gym. And you try and work your way backwards. That way you're striving towards having a continuum of consciousness throughout the day. Now, some great saints, spiritual masters, kind of what you may, can have 24-hour consciousness, that they can be fully conscious even while asleep, apparently. That is not easy, and I'm not suggesting you do that, but I am suggesting that we have to try and get more out of the day. We have to get more out of each day. And keeping a journal is one way of doing it. That reverse exercise is very good. So that's kind of the reason why the journal will make your life more reflective. You'll be capable of making changes. But how should you keep a journal? I think for a lot of people, what they get hooked into is thinking in terms of, dear diary, today is the 1st of June. I got up at 9 in the morning, I had a cup of tea, at 10 o'clock I brushed my hair. That's not what we're talking about. That's, you're not writing your autobiography, and, it's kind of boring as well, just have endless detail. So what I would suggest to you is to write down things which are relevant, like if some big change happened. Today I got a new job, or I had an insight on the way home on the bus, or I had a really fantastic conversation with somebody and they raised this pint, or I went to a cinema and I felt some amazing emotions. So you might only end up writing in your diary a few times a week or a few times a month, and there's different times. For example, this is one of my old diaries from I think that's like 1999 or something like that, or 2000. And like typically you got here like 1st of January, and it's pretty long. Goes on the next page, and then we got there 22nd of January. Okay, so the way it's worked for me, I mean, I keep it electronically now, but I used to keep like this. It's up to yourself which works better for you. But I might go months without writing my diary. Or at certain times in my life, especially when I think like looking for a new job, or trying to rebuild myself after maybe a failed relationship, for example. I might fill a whole one of these in a month. I mean, I might, especially for maybe there's been times when I'm searching for a job and thinking about a job and putting all the pros and cons and stuff. So this is what we're really talking about. We're not talking about, dear diary, today I went out for a meal with my friends, and 9 o'clock I watched TV program, by 10 o'clock. It's not like that. You write what is relevant to you. You don't have to write in your diary every day. It should be something that you learned. It should be something that you experienced. It should be some new change in your life. I always think it's a great thing if you can stuff like today I started a new job or today I met somebody new, and then 10 years later you read that and you go, wow, that's my wife, you know. So these sort of things are nice. Milestones, you know, a new child was born in a family, that sort of thing. But it's going to be a very boring exercise if it's just writing down endless detail. What you're trying to do is get into the art of self-reflection. See, a lot of people say to me over the years, you know, Dermot, you're into meditation, how do I meditate? What people don't realize is it takes a certain amount of self-reflection. And depending upon the environment you're in, you might be a very naturally self-reflective person. You might have a family who are very self-reflective. You might have a job that makes you self-reflect, or you might not be the most self-reflective person. You might not have a job that's very self-reflective. You might not have circumstances for that, but you can become more self-reflective. You can develop new skills as a human being, and one of them is self-reflection, and diary writing is one of the easiest ways of developing self-reflection. But it's kind of baby steps. You just pick out things that, you know, you got an insight, you got something, you know, a new experience. For example, if many years ago, maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago, I was kind of looking for a new job and I was sitting in an airport and there was a couple of guys sitting behind me having a separate conversation. But they're on the same topic. One guy was giving the other guy advice about a job. So Mr. B says to Mr. A, don't just go for the money, always go for a job that inspires you. You'll do well at a job you like. Now I took that and I noted that down in my diary, and I said, that's it, you know, that guy was speaking for me as well. And this often happens, you know. I'm not saying you should snoop on conversations, but often you're in a restaurant and you overhear a conversation, somebody says something, or you read something on a Facebook page, or you watch a video or whatever, or read something in the newspaper. Often it is relevant. So if I hadn't been reflective, that would have went in one ear and out the other. I remember seeing an episode many years ago of The Simpsons where Homer Simpson basically says, "Oh, life, you know, it's this," and then you go and repeat it again the next day. So, but of course, Homer Simpson is a personification of the silliness of human beings. That's why we laugh at Homer Simpson so much, because he's so silly. He's like us in our weaker moments most of the time. But by reflecting, by thinking about that, it helped me with selecting a new job. And that's something I put in my diary. And when you write it in your diary, you gain some perspective on it. The other thing is you don't necessarily have to go around reading your diary back, or what did I write in here? More often than not, I don't read back for months, years. I very rarely read back. Many times I don't read anything back, or I read stuff back 10 years. I always love going back 5 or 10 years and seeing how my thinking patterns have changed. So, you know, it's the exercise of writing the diary. It's not like, oh, what did I write this week? It's not like that. It's the exercise of writing it, just like the other exercises giving in the last video of going backwards from the day, from the end of the day to the beginning. These are just techniques to make you more self-reflective. Also, finally, I think another thing which comes along with diary writing is once you get into the habit of it, the swing of it, it helps you when you're making decisions about life or going through tough phases. You just get into the habit of taking a notebook, could be a diary or just a piece of pen and paper, and just jotting down, you know, the pros, the cons, what's a good idea, what's a bad idea, what do I think, how do I feel. I get used to looking at things mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How do I think about this? How do I feel about this? And does it feel right? So, and this ties into things like you're selecting your relationships, your jobs, your life changes. You get into the habit of, does this make mental sense? Does it make emotional sense? Does it feel right at some higher level? It makes you more intuitive. So it's the exercise, it's the activity of writing the journal rather than endlessly writing. And also that kind of automatic thing where you feel you just have to write a bunch of stuff to fill in every hour of the day. Well, that's not reflective. It'd be much better if you wrote once a week and noted some genuine thought or feeling. And also, you know, we're in a society that's very much left brain. It's intellectual and analytical, and we're out of touch with our feelings. So, you know, how do you get more in touch with your feelings? When you make an effort to feel. And again, think about, how did I feel when I had this experience? That's a good way of expanding your emotional range and becoming more of a kind of feeling-based person. And ultimately, these things are tools. I used to go through a few of these a year, once upon a time. And nowadays, my electronic diary, I probably make 3 or 4 2 or 3 paragraph entries a year. I do very little these days. But I think, as I explained in the other video, it's, you know, it's where I'm at these days. I'm pretty self-reflective. I don't necessarily have to externalize it. And that's the final point here. is things like a diary are, to some degree, they're a tool. And once you interiorize that thing, you don't necessarily have to do it the same way or follow the same rules that you used to follow. So this is all about being flexible, but it is a very useful tool. If you haven't tried it, I would recommend it. And it does get you into the habit of getting in touch with your feelings and being able to write things down and just see things from a distance. Also, if you're going through painful or tough events, it's a great thing to write something down and not look back at it. Just get it out of your head, out of your heart, into the page. Okay, so that was the idea of this video, just to give you a few ideas, a few insights about maintaining a diary. Okay, I'll write an article on my blog soon, and I will link it below when I write it in the next few days as well. But I think it is important. So thanks for calling in. Please like and subscribe if possible, and have a nice day. Bye for now.